على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كلام الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد, brothers, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the righteousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into all of your character aspects, in your heart, in your limbs, in all of your sayings and actions. As we always say, the key for the Muslim salvation in this life and the life to come is the righteousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that you honor the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said for you as a Muslims and the Muslimah. I was requested to talk about a certain topic about the month of Ramadan, which is really a very important topic. But then I said, inshallah, we'll have a time later on for me or for someone else to talk about it. What is even more important that I felt to talk more about it is what's happening again and time again. We talk about it in Syria, where thousands of people, Muslims, are being killed, brutally killed. The land is being occupied by many forces and armies on their lands. We see these things in all types of medias, but very less things that we could do to our brothers in Islam in the land of Syria. And we say to them that the whole land is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the whole commands is in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sovereignty is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will give it to whom He wills on this land. No matter how much the enemies of Islam will strive their heart to bring failure and disasters on the Muslims, because eventually they will not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this in many places in the Quran, for the Muslims to take it as certainty in their hearts. Eventually the victory is for the Muslims and the Islams, but it is us of how much we have done to deserve that victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the deen of Allah, the righteous peoples who strive hard for the sake of Allah to establish His deen on this land, they are victorious by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's support. Allah said in chapter As-Saff, for example, ayah number 8, يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. They, the enemies of Islam, intend to put out, turn off the lights of Allah. Where is the light of Allah? Is in the deen of Islam, in the Quran, the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, etc. With their mouths, by Allah, but Allah will bring His light to perfection, even though the disbelievers hate. On that land, the land of Syria, particularly Syria, what we call in Arabic Ash-Sham, all the land around Syria, Palestine, Syria, etc. On that land, all the crusades, campaigns, armies, and the Tartars and the Mongols were broken by the Muslims. When you read the history of Syria and Islam, when the civilization of Islam is brought into the pictures, Ash-Sham is very gloriously is remembered and mentioned. And when the ilm, the knowledge of the deen, that land is also remembered, because it is the land of the prophets. It is the refuge for all the believers, the righteous ones. And the major war that will take place between the Muslims and the non-Muslims at the end, Akhir al-Zaman, before Yawm al-Qiyamah, will be taking place in that land. And we mentioned this before in one khutbah, if you remember. The Prophet ﷺ in many hadith blessed and praised the land of Ash-Sham. Allahumma barik lana fi Shamina. Oh Allah, bless for us our Sham. And he said, if the people of Ash-Sham turn into as corrupted, there is no good in the rest of the Ummah. إذا فسد أهل الشام فلا خير فيكم. And because of this ahadith and sayings and praising from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the righteous people, the Muslims, among the Sahaba and whoever came after them, they launched their armies and efforts to go and gain that land and to make it as the part of the land of Islam. Khalid ibn Walid, Abu Ubaidah, Shurahbil, Amr ibn al-As, and many others of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they wanted to take this opportunity and have the honor to conquer that land and make it as part of the land of Islam. And from that time till today has become as part of the Muslim Ummah. Unfortunately, we are seeing in day and night what is being done to our brothers in Islam, in Halab particularly, let alone the rest of Syria. Halab is a major city of Syria. So many killings, shedding of blood is taking place as we speak now. When you look at their pictures, you will not be able to recognize that this used to be once upon a city called Halab. Salah, people are not able to go to the mosque safely and pray. Jum'ah, like we are enjoying today, they are not able to pray Jum'ah. And you know what is Halab? Let me give you more information about Halab, which I received in one of the nice messages prepared by Sheikh Muhammad al-Munajjid. Halab was conquered in the 15th year of Hijriya under the leadership of Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah radiyallahu anhu. 15 years of the Hijriya calendars. Halab is a blessed land, as we mentioned. In it, the land of Syria, the ilm, the iman, the jihad is there and will be starting from there. The army of Halab is going to be is the best of all the people on this land at the end of time. The Prophet ﷺ said, the hour will not start until the Romans, the Christians, will come in closer in the sides of Dabiq. And then an army, Dabiq is one of the cities of Syria, and then an army will come forth to them from the city, Al-Madinah, not Al-Madinah Munawwara. It is Halab, and that army, it is the best army on this land. By the way, wars has never stopped to happen for the people of Syria. When you read the history of Islam, the Romans, the Mongols, the Tatars, many times has tried to invade Syria and Halab, and eventually the victory was for the Muslims. It happened once upon a time in the year of 518 Hijriya, when the hardship came into them because of so many things happening by the enemies of Islam. People of Halab, like what's happening to them today, could not find something to eat. So they were finding nothing but to eat. The meat of dogs and dead things and sicknesses has gone into them very hard. But surprisingly, when the caller of jihad came, that the Romans are in the boundaries of the land of Islam, all the sect peoples felt so much active and marched forth along with the people of the fighters of Islam to fight against the enemies of Islam. Many rulers has ruled Halab, particularly among the great rulers of Islam. Abu Ubaidah, as I mentioned, Shurahbil ibn Samit, Hubayb ibn Muslim, etc. And so many others. Sham, as I mentioned, so many wars happened to it before. But by certain types of enemies, sometimes the Tartars, the Mongols, sometimes the Romans, sometimes the Rafida, the Shia of Iran. But today, surprisingly, all of them are fighting the Muslims on that lands. The Russians, the non-Muslims, the Shia, Nusayriya, which is Bashar al-Assad and his groups, the whole West supporting those peoples. And yet, for over more than 5 years, that land is still surviving. So my brothers, regardless of all of this killing happening to the people of Islam there, hospitals are being destroyed on the people inside it, on the heads of people inside it. And you have seen this. Schools are being exploded, airstrikes, countless. And yet, those people are saying, we have no refuge except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we really need to learn from those peoples something about the meaning of victory. The true victory is the victory of your principles, is the victory of maintaining to your principles of your deeds, is the victory of having the honor, the pride, having superiors with your deeds. The victory is when you are firm and nothing will change you to move a bit, even if you would lose everything you own in this life. And the failures and the loss when you as a Muslims and a Muslimah will give up some of your principles that has been given to you by the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to learn this kind of principles, this kind of lessons from those peoples. All people, they die in different causes, but very less of them, they remain victorious. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose those who will participate in this victory, in this glory, because we Muslims believe this dunya, this life is nothing for us. The true glory is the glory with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the people of Sham, truly my brothers, when you look, since their revolution started 5 or 6 years, they were able to defeat that regimes. And we could see the signs of victory here and there, because the amount of weapons and artillery in the hand of the regimes, wallahi, if it is not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would have been able long time ago to defeat the brothers in Islam theirs who truly fight in jihad against the enemies of Islam. I'm not talking about those who are killing the Muslims there among the Muslims themselves and they carry the titles of jihadis. I'm talking about those brothers who are fighting the regimes, the Russians, truly among the people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Wallahi, as I said, if it is not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help and support, Asham would have gone already, had been swallowed by the enemies of Islam. So what I'm saying to you, the signs of victories are theirs. And no matter what these people are gatherings, for example, at the beginning of the revolutions of Asham, when the victory is about to come to the people of Islam theirs, the regime start bringing all kinds of militias from Iraq, from Iran, Shia of course, from Pakistan and others, because they felt that khalas, the regime will come down and they were not able to do much with the regime to fight our brothers in Islam theirs. And when again they were able to defeat all of those peoples, regardless of how much killing has been happening today, they called for the help of the Russians to enter and they do whatever they will of the killings of thousands of people, of Muslims there. Because their goal not to let victory come to the Muslims over theirs. In fact, this is even the decisions of the so-called the global systems on this earth, not to allow the Muslims to gain victory over theirs. Yet they are surviving, they are fighting, they are sustaining their livings, and they were able still to maintain the lands in their hands so far. Because the decisions, the final decisions of having victory is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what's happening in the land of Asham, my brothers, as I mentioned, it is just another copy of what took place before on that land. For example, at the time when the Mongols, the Tartars invaded and conquered the land of Islam, it is similar to what's happening today there, except that we are seeing these things nowadays alive or live on the media screens, and at that time we only heard it as part of the history of Islam. The Tartars, the Mongols, entered Nisabur and killed hundreds, thousands of Muslims at that time, and they invaded the capital of Islam, Baghdad, nearby Syria, and they were able to kill hundreds, thousands of people over there. And yet they were not able to stay for a long time there, because the Muslims were able to gather their forces together under the leaderships of scholars and make jihad against those people and kick them off from the land of Islam. So victory will come, my brothers. We've got to be optimistic. We've got to believe in the promise of Allah, that Allah will bring victory for those people who deserve it. And you've got to underline this. We've got really to stay united. Yet we are far away from them. We really need to support them. We really need to feel the brotherhood of Islam. Allah said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Truly the believers are brothers. وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. The believers, men and women are supporters to each other. And I'll talk more about it in the second part of my khutbah. وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا إنه غفور رحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وعلى من استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. So what I'm talking today about the land of Asham, I'm talking about a land of the land of the Muslims. They have the right on us to support them, to defend them, to do whatever it takes to help them to fight against the enemies of Islam. Because the enemies of Islam, they will never be pleased with us only except when we follow their religion or their footsteps. And when they be finishing from that place, you have to remember that the next turn is on us, wherever we are. So those people are actually, if you look at it carefully, they are fighting on our behalf against the enemies of Islam. Had Syria and Iraq would completely fall in the hands of enemies of Islam, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all. So we've got to give them victory, support. Allah said this in the Quran, وَإِنِ اسْتَنْصَرُوكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ. When they seek support from you, your brothers in Islam, you must فَعَلَيْكُمْ, you must give them victory, nasr, or support. So Muslims, regardless of their colors, their nationalities, their countries, are nothing but one united body. Jasadun wahid. As the Prophet ﷺ said, if one part of the body will fall down in sickness, the rest of the body will go after him or after it to support it. Likewise, we should do to our brothers in Islam in Syria, Iraq, and don't forget what's happening to our brothers in Islam in Burma. When your brothers in Islam seek help, you've got to do that. Allah said in chapter Al-Anfal, ayah 17, verily those who believe, ayah 70 and 71 to 73, verily those who believe, al-mu'minun, and believe and immigrated and strove hard and fought with their property and their lives in the cause of Allah, as well as those who give them help and support. These are all the allies, the supporters to one another, and as those who believe but did not immigrate, you owe no duty of protections to them until they immigrate. But if they seek help, if they seek your help in religion, it is your duty to help them, except against the people with whom you have a treaty of mutual alliance. And Allah is the overseer of what you do. And then in the next ayah said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those who disbelieve are allies of one another. They are supporting each other. The Russians, the West, the whole West, with the Shia, are supporting to one another. And if you Muslims don't do so, becomes also,
united as a one united block, body, under one, hopefully under one leaderships, to make victorious Allah's religions of Islam, etc., there will be fitna, meaning battles, corruptions, which is happening today, because we are not truly are being allied with each others, and oppression will prevail, will continue on that land and the rest of the Ummah's lands, and a great mischief and corruptions, fitna, which is happening on the land of Islam, because Muslims, the majority of them, are not helping their brothers and Islams. So the true Muslims, male or female, he should really share the concerns of his brothers and Islams, feel the agonies, the troubles that he's going through these days. He shall never let him down or give hope in supporting them, because if you do so, everyone is taking his own business, careless about the brothers and Islams. That is what your enemy wanted from you. You are scattered around. Everyone is careless about his own self, his own family, his own business, and he sees the pictures in front of him day and night. Wallahi, it's very, very amazing for people now. We are so much frozen in front of TVs, seeing so much in the social media and the internet. Khalas, we have become senseless, insensitive, and we just shake heads, etc., and do nothing to our brothers in Islam. The least thing that you should do is make sincerely dua day and night, and teach yourself and your family the same things. What I'm saying, if we let down our brothers in Islam, the next turn is in us. You know why? Because Prophet ﷺ said this. Listen up. Very important hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, there is no Muslims that he will betray or let down another Muslims in a place where the honors and the property of that Muslim is being taken away, is being broken. And we are seeing this in front of our eyes, except Allah will let him down at times and places when he would love from Allah to support him. Likewise, there is no Muslims who will give support and help to another Muslims in a place where his honor is broken and his property is being taken away, except Allah will give him victory and support at time and places he would love from Allah to support him. So don't say that how I will be letting down my brothers, or how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let me down while you are enjoying your life, for example, in this land. Don't say that, because if we say that, then you should remember that what's happening in Iraq and Syria, yes, we dislike it very much, but we should remember that it is a kind of tribulation and trials for those people in Syria and Iraq, and for the Muslim Ummah. Syria and Iraq, if you remember, the lands of rivers, of gardens, of so many fruits. The land of Syria is so blessed. People are going to it to enjoy the natures, the fruit.